The Golden Age of Comic Books, month number 7, ties in with the release of Action Comics number 7 and the 7th appearance of Superman. These are the 22 comic books released in the United States with a cover date of December 1938. Looking at the chart here, we're going to notice and be able to compare all the grades and rarity of all these books and their overstreet price guide values in low and high grade. So let's analyze the chart a little bit here. This month there are 22 titles. This is down one book from the prior month. There are 5 different titles on here that are so rare and so kind of undervalued and underappreciated that they have 0 copies graded on the CGC census in all conditions combined, including restored copies. Simply 0 copies. If we take an estimate that the print run of the average comic was 200,000 copies, which this is just an estimate at this time, times 22 comics, that would give us 4.4 million comics on the newsstands this particular month. Out of the 4.4 million comics, only 124 of them have been graded by CGC. And out of the 4.4 million comics, only 13 have survived in high grade and been graded by CGC at 9.0 or higher. High grade comics from the 1930s are extremely rare, and in most cases, there's not even a single copy. The copies on the list that do seem to be the most common are Mickey Mouse Magazine from Western and Super Comics from Western. They both have 3 copies each in high grade. The reason for this is because Western kept file copies. So 1 or 2 of those may be file copies. Other than that, Crackerjack Funnies from Western also has 2 copies. After that, the most common comic in high grade that is not from Western Comics is More Fun Comics, number 38, which just by luck has 2 copies in high grade. But if we look at all grades combined, we see that Action Comics number 7 by far is the most common book on the CGC census with 39 copies graded, but only 1 high grade copy. This is a very historic book. It is the second Superman cover ever, and therefore this is one of the 10 most valuable comics of all time, with a hefty $25,000 price tag in low grade and $340,000 in high grade. And this book is a quick mover, always going up quickly every single year in the Overstreet price guide. Definitely one of the key books to invest in for long term. DC has 4 different books on the list this month. Adventure Comics number 33 is actually the second issue of that title. Detective Comics 22 is slowly turning into a superhero title. We have the Crimson Avenger in this issue, number 22, and therefore a hefty price tag of over $1,000. So if we look at which books actually have the most value on this list, generally the DC Comics usually have the highest price tags. The only other book that really has a high price tag on this list is Jumbo Comics number 4 from Fiction House. This is an oversized comic, and therefore, due to its larger size, cannot be graded by CGC census. That is why it shows 0 copies graded. Jumbo Comics number 4 does feature early works of Will Eisner, Jack Kirby, and many other big names in comic book creation at the time. So an $850 price tag for low grade or $15,000 for high grade. Other than that, the majority of the books on this list are now starting to be quite affordable, and in low grade, most of these books are only in the $50 range. The only other ones that really stand out as being a bit more valuable include the other DC titles. Also, Amazing Mystery Funnies number 4 from Centaur has a higher price tag at $206. And feature book number 20 features The Phantom from David McKay, and therefore that has an over $100 price tag. Little Giant Detective Funnies number 3 I have put on the list, though it's not verified if this book actually exists. Therefore, that's why there's 0 copies on the CGC census. There is a price tag we have included, but again, this book has never been verified. There are no copies known to exist, no pictures, no data on this particular issue. But next month, number 4 will come out, and number 4 is confirmed to exist. Pictures and sales documentation on that book. What else do we note from this chart? Well, the DC books by far have the most copies graded If we don't count the DC books, surprisingly, the book with the most copies graded is Tip Top Comics, number 32, with 8 copies graded in all conditions, but no high-grade copies. This is quite a high number, actually, considering the low price tag of only $55 from this book, which was one of 2 titles put out by United Features at this time. And at this point, the modern standard comic book format had been around for 5.5 years, and there were now over 450 issues had been published in the new standard modern format. And we get 22 of them this month. If we look at the highest and the lowest valued comics on the list, Action Comics number 7 by far is the most valuable. In fact, it's worth about 80% of the entire list. Ace Comics number 21 is on the other spectrum, $36 for a low-grade copy, or even under $500 for a high-grade copy. This is so far the cheapest comic of 1938 that you could possibly buy. And yet only 2 copies graded by the CGC Sense. It's a very rare book, but very affordable, and the price tag has been kept down because it's not considered a major key book, but consider it is still an 80-year-old book and quite scarce.